I grew up in a pretty religious family. I'm really close with my grandparents who are, they're very Catholic, but they're very open-minded. My experience was pretty positive. In high school, I was really involved. I went to Mass by myself on Sundays. My parents were going through a divorce at the time, and it's something that I really loved at that point in my life, even though my life was challenging at the time. College was crazy, and there actually were a few times where I tried to go to church, and I just didn't feel that sense of community that I felt when I was in high school. Life went on. I met my husband in college. After college, we got married. In 2017, I had my son Orion, and life kind of changed after that. Anybody that has kids would know that. I'm an extremely type A person, to the max, type A plus, as I like to joke around and say. But I genuinely thought that I would have my son and I would still be able to do everything that I could do before. And I had a super traumatic birth. My son and I almost died. A combination of my personality and that led to me having postpartum depression and anxiety after he was born. And I was just in this really dark place. There's a lot of stigma around it, and a lot of people are like, oh, you have postpartum depression, like you don't love your kid. It was just, I had crippling anxiety. I was afraid to go outside with him for a while because I was worried about him getting sick or like people touching him. Just like these things, like in your right mind, are silly, but you can't stop yourself from like worrying about him getting hurt and then just feeling down all the time. And this probably sounds silly, but I became really drawn to these two women that I still follow to this day on Instagram. Like, I don't know them personally or anything. Both of them have an extremely strong faith and a really strong relationship with God. And there was always a piece of me that was just kind of like, what happened to my relationship? I kept feeling this nudge, from God, like, you need to go back and try Catalyst. I went back in January, I think it was the second week of January, and I cried the entire time. The message was just so spot on to my life, and, I realized that it's not all on me to have control of my life, which is silly. Like, I should have never thought that. That's why you have God. That's why you have your faith, is so you can put all that worry in Him. One of the girls that I followed on social media has a mission called Always More, based on the Ephesians 3:20 verse. I can always do more through the Christ that is within me. And that verse has always spoken to me. For example, when my son was born, I was looking back at pictures and I realized that the room that I was in was 320, and that just brought so much symbolism to me that, okay, God was with me through this whole traumatic experience. And then when I returned to Catalyst and we read the benediction at the end of service, which was the Ephesians 3:20 verse again, it was just kind of like, oh my goodness, this is where I'm meant to be. So the reason that I want to get baptized is because I just want to show myself and commit myself to God, and hopefully be an inspiration to others that we don't have to do this life by ourselves. It's not just on us. We can have that, that strong faith in God to rely on.